Fight Island Part 2. I don't know what do they even call this card? The Kattar versus Ige on UFC. So welcome back to Fight Island, everyone. It's a scorching 118 degrees outside in Abu Dhabi again today, and
Yeah, we're actually on site in Abu Dhabi covering this event for you guys. No other podcast will do that, so that's why we're the best.
welcome to the Four Seasons. Um, so Diggle Sauce and myself, Reputed, are going to go through these, and also we got some good feedback. We had a comment last week that the top-down approach was the way to go. Actually, I think 2 or 3 different times we had some guys say they prefer the top-down, which is fine. So we can go that way again.
Yeah, I saw 2,000 comments about top-down was good, and
okay.
So me and Glenn took the advice, and we're ready to go. So let's do a top-down. Let's do it.
All right. Well, I'll let you introduce the fights as we go here, and you can start, and then I'll jump in.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be one of my favorite fights of the year. I actually love both these fighters, Dan Ige and Calvin Kattar. I call him Kattar. I think it sounds cooler, but I really think it is Kattar.
Yeah, I think he prefers to be called Kattar, but I also like Kattar.
Yeah, it's just a cool fucking name. So he is actually one of the most incredible boxers I've ever seen in the octagon. So he's from Boston, and what really like how he got to my attention was when he KO'd Shane Burgos coming in, and just an incredible fight. So ever since then, I've been like a Calvin Kattar stan, and he's actually one of the more crisper strikers in the UFC. But with that boxing style, he does tend to put a lot of weight on his front foot, making him a little susceptible to kicks to the leg. Moicano had a lot of success with that. But, Kattar had a great fight against someone who I think is a future champion in Zabit Magomedsharipov. Yeah. And actually, if that fight would have went 5 rounds, I think he would have easily won that fight. He had started to take over. And, that's Kattar's issue, is that he's kind of a slow starter. He's the opposite of a lot of other fighters in the UFC that are front runners. He basically builds as the fight goes on. He downloads things into his boxing computer and finds a way to counter strike very effectively. So in this matchup against Ige, I think that listen, he's a 3-1 favorite. He's a big favorite in this fight because yes, he's a big favorite in this fight. Which, when I first saw that line, the first thing I thought was, okay, like Ige is a pretty good bet. And it's almost like one of these tricks, like the book really wants your action on Ige, because when I and you know what Uncle Joey Diaz says, bookies don't have part-time jobs. So yeah, I mean, Kattar to me is the bet here. He's the play in Draftkings. I like him in a 5-round fight. His defensive wrestling has held up every time I've watched it. I think he's going to keep the fight on the feet. I think Ige doesn't have powerful enough low kicks to really damage his legs enough to change the fight. And I think Ige is going to be coming in. Ige likes to throw, he likes to counter the jab with his overhand. And, I just think he's going to get pieced up by Kattar in like the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round after Kattar kind of gets his range and distance and kind of speed of Ige's like pressure. That's not to say I don't like Ige as a fighter. He's live. He's a live dog. Ige can grapple, trains with Khabib Nurmagomedov. I mean, I probably rambled on and on, but I'm a Kattar stan. I won't bet against him here.
So I think this fight would have been more interesting if it had happened before the Barboza fight. Because when you look at it on my MMA math here for Dan Ige, when he fought Barboza, I think after the beers soaked out of me the next day, I think Barboza actually won the fight. So it was a split decision. Also, the fight before that, he fought Bektic, and that was a split decision. So it's like as he's going higher and higher in caliber, it seems like he's having more and more struggles.
And I think I just want to jump in. I think part of the struggle is Dan Ige is, while he's very technical, we have to say he's not an elite athlete at this level.
I think he's also a little small for the weight class. Like I think a lot of the higher end guys, like even Barboza, looked kind of bigger than he did. Like the frame is bigger. So I look at it like kind of it's like the coming of age thing here, where it's like Dan Ige very well could be like a top 5 guy for the next couple of years. Probably, I don't know if it's even possible for him to cut weight and go like one class lower. That would be interesting, I think, because I feel like he's getting to the top where he's struggling against bigger, more powerful guys. His speed's good, his grappling's good, his fight IQ is good. Like he's pretty tough. He can take a shot, a lot of good things. But when you see him struggle against Bektic and Barboza, it's like you're reaching the ceiling, and that isn't the ceiling in that weight division, right? There's bigger, badder dudes out there. So I think he's gonna have to rethink kind of where he's headed. Could he win? Maybe if he can get Kattar down. If he can get Kattar down and just like kind of steal 2 or 3 rounds, he could. The only issue with that though is that Kattar has like incredibly high takedown defense, and I'm just pulling up my stats here.
As you pull up the stats, I mean,
he's 77% takedown defense over like what 8 fights in the UFC. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's good for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, like essentially Kattar. I mean, you know his game plan. He believes he's the best pure boxer in that weight class, and he wants to keep the fight on the feet. I mean, and over the years, it's much easier to learn get-ups and submission defense than actually, offensive wrestling and offensive grappling. Like he's clearly done a good job.
You see this across the board at the very top of the pyramid for all these guys. It's always the same thing. It's grapplers become strikers. There's outside of maybe, and this isn't really even true, but like Curtis Blades or like some of these guys who Khabib, but even Khabib is striking more. Like he strikes with Poirier, like it isn't like I'm just going to take you down and romp on you anymore. Mm-hmm. They're all starting to strike more, and I don't know if that's just something where it like the grappling gets nullified and you can't get enough damage done for your energy spent or what. But it seems to be a trend. There's like cage wrestling in that still around, but the takedowns, like the double leg, power leg, you don't see it as much. So I think Iggy's interesting. If I didn't see him struggle against Barboza, I'd be more interested. Kattar's also, I think, significantly taller than him, which is going to not help him with striking.
His reach is going to help, yeah.
Like Iggy's going to have a much harder time against Kattar getting inside than like Barboza or a lot of these other guys. So, I think he's probably going to get rocked.
My problem with Ige too is how he fights. He fights a very pressure style. He does like to crash in. He does like to come in. And man, when you see Kattar's counters, Kattar's struggles have been against guys that can leg kick and guys that are long, right?
And earlier in his career.
Yeah, and those are the guys he's lost to. But guys like Jeremy Stevens, guys like Shane Burgos, guys that like to come in and bang and want to pressure you, he smokes. I mean, he's gonna hit you coming in. His counter striking is absolutely incredible. So, and his accuracy is good. His speed's good. So, and the other thing, like we're talking betting and DraftKings here. When it comes down to DraftKings, I mean, ultimately you're gonna need the winner of this fight. I think. There's been some talk about Kattar maybe not being in the optimal. We've talked about that a little bit, but ultimately, if I'm trying to hit a 6-fight parlay, which is unless Max Holloway is on the card and he's a cheat code, you're trying to hit a 6-fight parlay to win, $100,000 in DraftKings. And I think
it's funny. Isn't that twice now that Holloway's been the underdog?
I believe it's maybe been multiple times.
Underdog on DraftKings as a loser, because against Dustin Poirier also is the same thing.
Dustin, was Dustin the underdog? Or was Max the underdog?
Maybe Max was the favorite because he's
but I thought he was. Yeah, I thought Max might have been like 9100.
But he lost the fight and he was still optimal on DraftKings.
He was, yeah. He scored like 97 points. So Max is just a cheat code. You play him no matter what. But in this type of a fight, in a 5-round fight, where I expect Kattar to get a finish in the 4th round, which I think is a really interesting bet, is betting Kattar to finish in the 4th or the 5th round. I mean, I see him. I'm plugging him in.
So here's the ceiling for Calvin Kattar is basically Magomed Sharapov. Like he lost the decision to him in 3 rounds. It'll be interesting to see if they fight again in a year or two, 5-round main event. But right now, the closest thing you look at here is like Stevens or Lamas, both dangerous strikers in different ways. Both got knocked out by Kattar in the 1st and 2nd round. Fishgold, a little grappling, but way lower level, smoked.
We'll talk about Fishgold.
Yeah, yeah, we will. But I just think if you look at it basically in every possible measurable way, this is going to be uphill for Iggy, including the fact that Iggy's never fought a 5-round fight. Iggy has cardio issues. Like at the end of 3 rounds, when he's going full blast, he's tired. Like he's visibly tired at the end of these fights. And I don't think Kattar looks that way. So,
and yeah, I think part of that is Iggy just is not an elite athlete, so he has to put 100% into everything he does. I mean, he throws hard as he can. He pressures hard, and I commend him for that. But I think that's a great point about the cardio, is that Calvin is smooth in there, and Iggy is more frenetic, and I think that's gonna play a role in the 5-rounder.
Yeah, it's just like every possible advantage is for Kattar in this. I don't see any way you'd say like, oh, Iggy's better at this. Like he's tough and he can probably wrestle better, but I don't think he can take Kattar down, not reliably. So he's probably gonna get lit up, and I think probably he's gonna get smoked in like late in the 2nd or the 3rd round. He's just gonna take too much damage and be tired and go down.
Yeah, and the jab for Kattar is incredible. So I think over a 5-round fight, that we've seen what a good jab can do in a 5-round fight.
If it goes 5 rounds, it'll be awesome on DraftKings, though, because that means he's been pumping that thing out for 25 minutes. Also, I just want to point out, though, I've bet on Iggy for every fight over probably the last like 3 or 4 years. And so for me, it was interesting. My first thought was like, I was like, there must be a way Iggy can win this, right? And as I worked through the problem, I started to fall short. But I think he's really good. I just think he needs to see if it's possible for him to go down a weight class and fight some smaller guys.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he
can go deeper in a smaller weight class.
This is a forward-thinking podcast. We're Bayesian. We loved Masvidal, and then we picked Usman. Like, it has nothing to do with our love for Dan Ige. Dan Ige has won us money. Dan Ige can beat so many guys in this division. I love his fight IQ. I think his fight style is a round-winning fight style. I just think that Kattar represents a step up in competition, that there are only a few guys in the division on their best nights that beat Calvin Kattar on his best night.
Yep. Yeah. So I think we're all agreed.
So let's get into the next fight.
The co-main.
Oh, yes.
It's funny that they made this the co-main.
Yeah, this doesn't make any sense, does it? As a co-main event?
This whole card is wonky. Like, there's weird things in here. Like, is Jack Shore really the first prelim fight?
Weird, right?
Why would you pick him and not, like, these 2 yahoos? Who are the 2 yahoos? The guys that Modestas Bukauskas and Andreas Michailidis. Like,
this is not that kind of podcast. Not that kind of podcast, Glenn. But we'll talk about Tim Elliott and Ryan Benoit or Ryan Benoit. I don't know how you say his name, but I do know that he's been training with a couple of interesting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu grapplers and the Danaher. Yeah, the Danaher Death Squad, John Danaher, Gary Tonin. So, I mean, okay, so you can get better really fast training with those guys. So in the Jiu-Jitsu world, the Danaher Death Squad, John Danaher, is literally the best trainer in the world, and it's not even close. So, no. My only point is that Elliott's path to victory is takedown submission in the first round, because we know Elliott gasses. We know Elliott has no cardio past 1 round. We know Elliott is aging. Basically, that's Elliott's path to victory, is takedown and submission in the first round. And I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think that's the path at all.
What do you think he's going to do?
So I did a little study. Do you know that he's dating Gina Mazzani?
No.
They live together. It's true.
Congrats.
This is the way. The way.
Shout out to Gina Mazzani, who has never won us money.
And also the Mandalorian.
Right. Neither of which, those have only costed us money.
But the Mandalorian was entertaining. So anyways, he's dating Gina Mazzani, and I think they live together. But I was checking it out. Apparently, he went back to training with James Krause, and there's like video of him running around in a parking lot, like doing his cardio before taking a plane to Abu Dhabi, and guys like boxing in a hotel parking lot. Here's the other thing too: is Benoit, from my deep study here, he was supposed to fight Tyson Nam like whenever that 2-3 weeks ago. He withdrew from the fight, no reason given. So they assume it's some kind of an injury, a weight cut issue, like he's sick, something's wrong with him. Now that could be minor,
COVID.
could be minor a couple weeks later, but he was the one who withdrew. Also, if you rewatch any of him on his back, it's real bad. Like he literally will like close guard. He'll go full guard on somebody and just hang on for dear life and wait for the round end. That's not the way to beat Tim Elliott. And I know Tim Elliott's not what he used to be, but the dude will throw aggressive volume with Benoit, which I think is a bad idea, but he'll also go for takedowns. And I think when he gets the takedown, he's going to sit on Benoit's chest for 3-4 minutes at a time and just rack up wins, like points and score. Benoit is really, really bad on his back. You just find any footage of him on his back. He'll go guard and lay there. He won't get up. He doesn't turn into guys. He doesn't do anything. So my point is like, again, like disadvantages. Something happened in the NAM fight before the fight, not that long ago, a couple weeks. He's terrible on his back, and he throws with heat on his feet. Elliott's going to take this guy down like 6 seconds into the first round. I think he can control him way easier than like Brandon Royval, Askar Askarov. Royval hosed me, but I know you got that one right.
Yeah.
He's
I did
like this
I did
is a
get that
different
one
animal.
right.
But this right here is totally like the submission guy or like whatever Elliott is, the mullet guy that wants to take you down and hold you versus the guy who's like a white belt and just hanging on and can't get up. That's what it is. It's a perfect setup for him to lay on Benoit. And I really just don't think that he's even going to have to take him down more than twice. Like, I think he's going to get him down and just sit on him.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you something that you don't want to hear. You have a Tim Elliott problem. And a lot of people that play DraftKings have a Tim Elliott
I
problem.
admitted that I had a problem.
Yeah.
But
because you guys somehow picked Tim Elliott against Brandon Royval, which was a complete mistake. And I'm going to tell you right now that babyface Benoit, Ryan Benoit, has been training at the Renzo Gracie Academy with John Danaher, which is the best jiu-jitsu school in the world. And I don't care if he's been there for 4 months. He's better than Tim Elliott.
No, he isn't. No way. The guy literally can't get off his back. You can't go from being a turtle to or whatever, a turtle on your back to like in what 6 months from the Alatang fight where he's just laying on his back. You can't. No way. No way. It's impossible.
Telling you, man. I'm telling you, he's a purple belt now.
Oh, good. I mean, Tim Elliott's mullet is a brown belt, so between the two of them, they're going to hold him down.
I mean, he's probably made rapid improvements. I will say that. You're right that in our last footage, he could not get off his back. He is not good on the ground, but I am fairly certain that on the feet, this is not a close fight, and Tim Elliott's path to victory is on the ground. And I don't think he's going to be able to submit him. I think Elliott is just done.
I don't know, man. Everything I read, like between the health issues for Benoit was out because he had like a broken rib, a broken foot, a broken hand. Like he's got like injury problems.
He's training hard. He's training hard.
Yeah, at the Danaher gym, they're just breaking him apart over there.
Training hard, ripping limbs.
Between the health issues, pulling out of the NAM fight. It's like it's not a great setup for him, and also historically his ground game's been abysmal. So if you're comfortable taking the guy with no ground game against the mullet,
okay,
so hats off to you.
My whole point is that it's not no ground game anymore. This guy's younger.
You don't know
evolve.
that. You don't know that. There's no way to predict that. You're guessing. You're hoping that his ground game evolves.
I'm putting confidence in the best training camp in the world.
No.
Yes, I am. I'm saying that John Danaher is the best jiu-jitsu trainer in the world, and that in 6 months, somebody training under him could make rapid improvements.
I mean, maybe, but I think a lot of it is like when you're getting punched in the face, you have to have some kind of muscle memory to know, like, I have to turn into this guy. I have to reach for the leg. I have to get up. Like, you know, if there's a fight in the UFC, Tim Elliott's going to win. This is it. This is the bottom of the barrel. Like, it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
He's not quite bottom of the barrel.
Benoit is no elite dude, right? But I will say that he throws powerful strikes on the feet. I think that he can finish this fight if Tim Elliott continues to struggle getting takedowns, or he gets takedowns and Benoit gets back up. I see Elliott gassing, and I see this fight being finished in the second or third round by Benoit. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's fine, but the only thing is like if you look at the best guys that he fought in the modern Tim Elliott era, like Figueiredo subbed him, right? But he actually took Figueiredo down. He took Askarov down thrice. He took down Rival 4 times. Like, he's gonna get him down. There's no question of how or if. It's just how fast.
Tim Elliott has won 2 fights in the UFC in the past 7 years.
Yeah, but he also had a little break in between. And I agree.
He wins 20% of the time.
Well, this will be the 4th time I bet on him, so I'm right in line to hit it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my whole point is we're trying to hit a parlay, and I think there's a ton of value on Benoit.
I think there's limited value on Benoit because of the ground game.
This is partly a fade on Elliott.
Yeah, I know you're fading him.
A huge fade on Elliott. This is all. I mean, it's a fade on Elliott. I mean, Brandon Royval. I mean, who is he? You've never heard of him.
Yeah, but he was pretty slick. He looked good. I mean, like he's real sharp on the ground.
He had good scrambles, but his striking wasn't powerful at all. I think Benoit is a better striker than Royval, and I think that it doesn't take much to get away from Elliott on the ground. I don't think he's some insane positional grappler you're making him out to be.
Yeah, but this isn't insane. You're fighting the bottom of the barrel. You're fighting a guy who can't get off his back. Like how you don't have to be. Like I could hold Benoit down. I'm probably way too heavy, but like you
definitely can hold him down. I mean, he's fighting at what is this? 125, 135. This might be 125. I think you could hold him down.
I just ate a dinner bigger than that, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like you don't.
So we're split
on
this one. That's okay. We can be split on this one. You're an Elliott guy.
I think if Elliott's going to win, this is the one. I think he's washed up.
So
he's totally washed up. Something's wrong with the guy, but like.
So let me ask you a question
from
a DraftKings perspective, because now outside of betting, who we think is going to win. From a DraftKings perspective, true or false, you have to have whoever's in the Elliott fight. You either have to have Tim Elliott or you have to have his opponent. True or false? In the optimal. Because historically, that's true.
I would say you. I think you. So after all of our arguing about this, I think I'm probably not going to play Elliott in DraftKings because at 8,500. It's even if he wins in the second round, it's not going to be like 120 points. Like his strikes thrown is way lower today, modern era Tim Elliott. The takedowns are awesome, but in his losses, he scores 40 points or 20 points. If you add a win on there, like if he survives and it goes to decision, it's like 75. 80.
Yeah, I'm not talking about his losses though. I'm saying like if he wins, generally he scores very high. If he loses, generally his opponent scores very high. My strategy is you pick a winner. You want one of them in this fight. True or false? I mean, you're saying you want to fade Elliott too.
But I think he's going to win. So I guess the thought process then is like, how's it going to happen? He's going to be on top of him, and he's probably just going to rain down from above. Like I think he's going to be in full mount, just uncorking until they stop it.
Yeah, that's my whole point with Elliott is that if he's not like a positional grappler. He's like sub hunting, or he's always going.
Yeah, and
he's 100%. He's a killer be killed.
Fight IQ problem.
Yeah, I mean he's a killer be killed fighter. I mean he's trying to get
himself in terrible positions, like trying to get.
These are guys we love, right? I mean these are guys we love in DraftKings because we can either bet on them or against them.
I don't know. I don't love him. I think his mullet's cool, and I think he's like super entertaining. Honestly, I think him losing to Rival was like, you screwed up. Like that was.
Rival was in the optimal, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he was the dog, right?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to repeat history, it's like, yeah, I mean, you can take him. I think that if Benoit wins, it's probably a knockout. I don't think he'll win a decision, and maybe you play a little bit.
Even if he does win a decision, crazy shit's going to happen. There's going to be positional advances,
There's
reversal,
gonna be advances and reverses,
takedowns, strikes, knockdowns. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of shit that happens in this fight, and that's my only point from a DraftKings perspective. Pick a side and put one of the guys into your lineup because that's
I normally have been doing like 4 or 5 single entries, something like that. I'll have one with Elliott in there, but and I might have one with Benoit. But I think that it could score well. But the thing is the curse of Tim Elliott is that one fight where he scores 176 points, and you're like, let's do that again. And you're like, he did it once, why not again? And it's like, well, it was 4 years ago, and it was against an alcoholic smoker. Like that's why that happened. It's not the same thing today. So I think if you fade Elliott in DraftKings, it's probably fine. I think he wins the fight though.
So I will say this to wrap up this fight, which we've already spent way too long on, which is somehow a co-main event, but an important fight for betting is that I have 5 lineups and I will be 100% Benoit.
Yeah, I mean, but you're doing that purely for the value of having the upset, right?
Yeah, because I think Elliott fights lead to craziness. But we'll get on to a fight that may not lead to so much DraftKings craziness.
I have one last comment, and I'll bury the hatchet.
Okay.
Elliott hasn't been knocked out or TKO'd since his return. It's only been submissions. I think it's super unlikely that Benoit subs him.
Fair point. So we'll go on to the next fight. Jimmie Rivera, who is moving up in weight to fight Cody Stamann.
That's a big deal too, though. The weight,
Yeah. So Jimmie Rivera historically is kind of like a stout dude, good takedown defense, likes to strike, but has had chin issues as he's gotten older. And now we have Cody Stamann, who's more of a methodical type striker. I'm actually probably fading this fight in DraftKings, and if I'm betting it, I'm betting on Stamann. What do you think?
I thought the exact same thing. So Jimmie Rivera is a little bit older. If you look though, he's losing fights, but they're all by decision. He has one loss by TKO against Moraes in the last 5-10.
I mean, he got kicked in the head. Anybody's going out to that head kick. By the way,
so I don't think he's like Marcin Tybura chin struggles, but he's definitely getting older, and he looks really good. Like when he fought Peter Yan, there were things that looked really, really good. The problem is it was kind of weird, and I think Yan figured it out like after the first round. If you pressure him up against the cage, his defense when you strike at him is to go backwards. He doesn't cover up or dodge or like weave or anything. He just goes backwards. And if you get him up against the cage, he's got nowhere to go. He starts getting cracked. So that was like an interesting thing I saw in the Yan fight. But the fact is you fought a decision with Yan and lost. He didn't lose a terrible decision. Like it was at times competitive, but Yan has like singular moments where he kind of takes it away.
Yeah, and to be honest, we spoke about this at length last week about how we love Yan as a pressure fighter. Stamann is not the same fighter as Yan. He's not particularly a pressure fighter, more of a counter striker, more of a distance type striker. I don't see him as the same type of striker as Yan that will put Rivera into the fence and unload on him.
No, no way. In fact, it's going to be a lot closer. And in some ways too, I think it's like, I was like, well, maybe Rivera wins. And then I realized he was the favorite. And I was like, that's screwed up. Like he's won one fight in his last 4, and it was against John, the rat-faced Dodson. Like, why is he the favorite against Stamann, who just won, has like a draw, which I think is hot for Song Yadong. Like he has good fights and good wins, and Jimmie Rivera is just older and losing decisions. So I don't know why
Song won that fight like 100%. I thought
3 rounds. I think there was a lot of takedowns in it, wasn't there? Like 5 takedowns.
It was takedowns, but get ups. Like I didn't have that fight for Stamann at all. Like
the fact that it was a draw at all.
Yeah, and
but
Song,
if it's a draw at all, it's like you did something right. Like you didn't get knocked out by Song Yadong,
which he almost did. But
he didn't. He survived and got a draw.
And
the 1%.
So I think the reason that Jimmie Rivera is a favorite is likely because, people look at the takedown defense and they think, okay, Stamann's going to try to wrestle. But Stamann's is an excellent, he's not an excellent, but I mean, he's a good boxer. I mean, he has good boxing fundamentals. I think that he should be able to point this one to a decision victory.
It's the same thing we were talking about before, where you see these guys who start off as like wrestlers and ground guys because that's what they're comfortable with, whether it's from college or Olympics or whatever, and then they evolve into strikers over the years. He's the exact same thing. If you look at his strikes earlier in his career, he has like no significant strikes and all takedowns, and as he gets older, it's like 89 significant strikes against Kelleher and 2 takedowns. It's the stats are just kind of changing over time. Mm-hmm. His first fight against Tyron Ware had 8 takedowns. God knows how many advances, reversals, everything else, right? So the style changes. He's going to be able to hang out with Rivera. I don't think that this is like a lock for Rivera. I think if they're trying to feed Rivera, this is an insane fight to do it on. And to be honest, I'm surprised that Stamann isn't the favorite because he just had a win over Kelleher. He has a draw with Yudong, which I look at as like neutral, or at least a positive against the competition level. He beats Perez and he has a loss to Aljamain Sterling. And before that, there's like 3-4 more wins. What more do you want from the guy? Like, you know, he's not like at the top of the food chain, but he's also like a top 10 guy. I think Rivera is going the other way.
Yeah, I would definitely see Rivera declining at this stage of his career. I mean, Stamann was a Division II wrestler, I believe. You know, I don't know why I keep thinking that he was a Golden Gloves boxer, but
you talked about this last time. I think he is.
Yeah, he is 2008 Golden Glove state champion. Okay.
Yeah.
So
here's
he's got boxing, he's got a little bit of wrestling. But again, he's a decision type fighter. It's not like this guy.
Super decision.
This guy doesn't have power. He's not, and even when he wrestles you, it's like control. It's not. You know, he's not.
I don't think he's taking
Rivera down. So
I don't think he's taking Rivera down. I think that there's a good chance that Stamann gets cracked pretty hard in this fight and has like a come to Jesus moment, like in round 2, because Rivera will hit him, and Rivera is sharp and he's countering, and like he looks really, really polished. Like he knows what he's doing.
I mean, but I will say this about Rivera. I mean, he hasn't finished a guy since 2015. So
neither is Stamann.
Right. So we both see this as a decision. I think the value on Stamann.
Stamann's winning the decisions, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I see the value on Stamann. Bet this fight to go to decision, possibly. I think that's a good bet. And just, probably avoid it on DraftKings. If one of these guys wins by finish, it's like, it's hard to predict. It's going to be because somebody got tired. And it's hard to predict that happening. Neither one of these guys are especially like power strikers or power grapplers that's not something you can really predict. Am I wrong on saying that?
No, I think Rivera can hit pretty hard. Stamann, I think less so. But Kelleher is significantly less trouble to deal with than Rivera. Because Rivera knows what he's doing. Kelleher's kind of a yahoo. When Stamann beat Kelleher, he scored 85.
I will say this about Kelleher. He's more opportunistic than Rivera. I think Rivera is better defensively, though. I think Rivera will probably stay a little bit even more passive than Kelleher.
For sure. Way more. And actually, you know who Rivera reminds me of now that you're thinking about it? Is he's got like a little bit of like an Overeem look to him, where he's content, he's calm, he's hanging out, and then he's going to uncork. And not quite the same way a heavyweight will, because they're like drastically different sizes, but he has that same kind of style. And I think his chin is better than Overeem too. But it's kind of the same thing. It's like an older man style of fighting is like more defensive, and there's like you can run around in circles and try not to get hit, and that sucks. And those guys get knocked out eventually and they're gone. Or you can be like Overeem and you're like a rock, and it's like you have to engage with this guy and you don't really want to. So all that being said, I think Stamann will land more punches and win a decision. Scoring wise, it's probably going to be bad because they're going to be super careful not to get hit by Rivera. I think it's going to score like, I don't know. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it might score like 75 points and a win for Stamann.
Yeah, I'm with you. So let's go on to McCann, Santos. We're going pretty long here. McCann's the brawler. She's going to try to crash into the clinch. Santos actually pretty decent in the clinch, throws knees, throws elbows. I think that this fight sucks because you have two not so good people fighting. And, McCann.
You don't like Molly McCann?
McCann's like a fan favorite, but, yeah, I like McCann. She's like a fan favorite, but she's gonna just crash into the clinch here, and hopefully she doesn't get kneed in the face, but she should be able to win this fight.
Okay, so here's the backstory. This is all the backstory you're gonna need. The organization that Taila Santos fought in before getting her first fight in the UFC, which she lost. That organization, I think it might have been the Alaska Fighting Championship, but
it no longer exists.
It was headlined. The card that she fought in before leaving for the UFC was headlined.
Sarah Palin.
Junior Albini. So if you've got the diaper, the big baby diaper man, headlining your card, it's already cursed.
We're in bad shape. We're in bad shape. And Molly McCann, in contrast, comes from an organization that's headlined by Patty the Batty Pimblett, which is my boy, your friend. And, I think McCann, it's interesting, quietly 3-1 in the UFC.
I feel like we've been betting on her for a while.
Yeah,
and here's the thing too is she just fought against this girl's name is Belvita. I think it's Belvita.
Yeah, she's on this card too.
I'm gonna call her Belvita.
We'll talk about her later.
She's down all the way at the bottom, right? And that's interesting too because if you look at that later on, it's interesting to know how the fight with McCann went. I think McCann's one of the tougher chicks in the UFC today, especially in the weight class, and she scores super well. She's over 100 points, 127 against Belvita. She's fought 3 times in 19, won them all. She's winning decisions, but what I like about her is she comes in and throws hard, and I think most girls are not used to getting hit that hard. She's good at getting inside the distance without just like wandering in and getting jabbed to death, and she also will opportunistically get a takedown right at the end of a round to score 5 more points. It's almost like probably her family is betting on Draftkings, and she's aware of the scoring. Because you'll see it like in her tape, she always gets these late round takedowns to kind of finish it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she does throw hard. I mean, like I guess the tape on her is that she's a brawler, and that's like some kind of detriment apparently, but not to me. I mean, in women's MMA, like the people that are throwing hard and throwing with aggression generally do pretty well.
Yeah, like Andrade or Nunes or like I mean, you'll be fine as long as you can manage distance. If you manage the distance, if you're just way outside, it's no good. But
I mean, is she? Do we fear her getting submitted by Santos? Like, not really. So
when Taila Santos fought last, her debut in the UFC was against Romero Barea. Mm-hmm. She lost a 3-round decision to Barea. Barea was on top for like half of it. And in that fight, Santos landed 36 strikes. That she's averaging 12 strikes landed per 5 minutes. That's like 2 a minute. I mean, like you could take a nap in between landing some of those and get up and keep going. Like the output's impossible for her to beat Molly McCann unless she just ropes her up and off to La La Land. But it's not going to happen. I'm on Molly McCann all the way. And also the price tag is stupid cheap. I don't know. It seems like some of the odds are weird on this fight, like this whole card, because Molly McCann for 8,200 is a steal. She was 9,400 against Belvita, and this is a step down in competition.
Yeah, it's a good price. And
she paid off the 9,400.
Yeah, it's a good price.
Hot take, McCann. That's a subscriber hot take for 8,200. Get on McCann.
I like that. I'll be on McCann as well. Let's see. So we got the next fight, which is Razak Alhassan. And this is the best fight on the card. Mounir Lazzez. This is the best fight on the card. Alhassan, we haven't seen. He had like some kind of domestic battery issues or something.
I looked it up. I researched it actually.
Yeah. What happened to him? Like legally, I know there were some legal issues.
Yeah, so he was fighting, and then after one of his fights, he cut it off, and he had like a 2-year hiatus. He was working as a bouncer at a club, and apparently he took 2 girls home at the end of the night, and then there were rape charges placed like the next day against him. So they said that he raped both the girls, and then after like a year and a half or whatever, they finally go through the court and the legal process. And he gets acquitted of any guilt or anything. And the one thing I read at the end, the last comment was, he goes, "Yeah, I had sex with him, but it was consensual." I was just like, God only knows what happened here. But the court said that he was guilty. So
Okay,
I
so
trust.
we're not going to pass judgment on Alhassan. The only judgment that I have is that this man throws
He wasted
hard.
2 years of his life, though. Yeah, he throws crazy.
Throws hard. He's in the pocket. He's banging. Clearly has a part-time job, which is probably not good at the higher levels of MMA. But Mounir Lazzez is like the Arabic Drago. Like, he is built in a lab. The sultans at Abu Dhabi pump him full of steroids and send him
allegedly
kill all the cans. So, but what I do see is that he does have some diverse strikes. He's pretty dynamic. He's big, he's strong, but he's looks big and looks strong against guys that are unathletic, not UFC caliber. He's throwing good knees, he's throwing good kicks, he's throwing good strikes. But I mean, he's hittable, and Alhassan's going to get into the pocket and throw heavy shots. But Alhassan is like a killer be killed guy. You know, he's going to go in, he's going to throw hard, and then he's
never been killed though. He's isn't he like 8-0?
Never been killed. Yeah. So so he's going to go in, he's going to throw hard. This is a weird fight to me because it's almost like I think that the UFC would want to build Lazzez in Abu Dhabi, like in front of the Sultans. This is a strange fight to me, and I almost
they
feel
keep
like
doing this.
Yeah.
They keep doing this with like the Davi Ramos fight too against Tukagov. Like they keep taking like really, really nice prospects and then just pitting them against each other to see like, we'll see who survives. Like, it's like you're basically ruining careers of people because you have like a really powerful ground fighter. He could probably use 3 or 4 fights before having to go through that and like determine where they're at. But like this is the same thing. Like, well, maybe not quite, but Abdul, Razak, Alhassan, all nonsense in Texas aside, the dude's crazy. Like, he pounds people into submission. Like, they just disappear in there. He throws crazy hard. It's not totally uncontrolled and wild either. Like, he uncorks and just really lights people up. Yeah, he's really impressive. Mounir Lazzez, or however you say it, I looked at a bunch of his footage, and here's the thing. He looks like he throws super dynamic shots. His body is moving in sync with his brain. Like, as he's thinking, I'm gonna hold off on this uppercut and I'm gonna kick this guy in the head. It's happening in real time. Like, he's doing really, really nice looking things. My problem with it is that the people he's fighting are not that good. And a lot of times you see him kind of just like punch a guy in the body and he falls down, or like he kicked the guy in, like, who was blocking and he falls down. It looks like he's aggressive. It looks like he's super dynamic. He looks kind of like built weird too. Like, he has like a weird like gray alien build to him. He's like very tall and like kind of broad just at the top of his chest. I think it's going to be good.
He's got that Gegard Mousasi body.
But the problem is too, is like in all the footage you can watch of Mounir, you never see him get hit once. And he's definitely going to get hit by Abdul Razak Alhassan. And I've seen
Duke too.
I've seen Abdul get hit in the head hard, and he's like content to fight and get hit. But I've never seen Mounir get hit. So you got to wonder, like, how durable is this guy going to be with all this flashy stuff going on? And how fast does the flash get shut down once you start eating these punches?
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair. You know, a lot of other people agree with that. And Alhassan is a 3-1 favorite.
Yeah. So that being said, though, you're totally right about Mounir. And the other reason is, though, is like, so that's the striking portion of it. Also, in all the tape, you see Mounir basically ground fighting in every single video. Every fight he's in, he's trying to take it to the ground. The little footage you've seen of Abdul, like, because he's only fought for like less than 4 minutes or something in the UFC in total active time, he is striking. He's boxing. When he's on the ground, he's not like a world beater. He's basically just like trying to get up. Like, he's, you know, he doesn't know positions. He's not like a grappler or wrestler. He could easily get sucked out on the ground. And if this is their magic pony from the UAE and they want this guy to light up the night, it could totally happen against the guy they see just throwing like crazy power shots, and then he gets taken down and wrecked on the ground. Here's the thing, though. Again, there's like a lot of angles to this because there's so much power involved and like in good striking. But if he takes him down, do you think that Mounir can TKO Abdul? I'm not certain.
I think this fight comes down to if Alhassan can get him out of there in the first round. 3-1 is obviously justifiable. I don't know, man. Something is pulling me to bet on Lazzez and put my money in Draftkings on him. I mean, something's really pulling me there, and I can't really explain it.
I know what's pulling you. It's his like $7,000 price tag or whatever it is,
Yeah,
because he's not the favorite, right? He's 7,000.
3-1. Yeah, he's 3-1.
You know what this kind of reminds me of too is like remember when Darko Stosic fought against the Brown Bear? What's his name?
Devin Clark.
It's different, but it's a little bit similar. Where like you're wrangling a big, powerful guy in Stosic or potentially in Alhassan, and if you can take him down, it's your world. So there's a path to victory. You can't get knocked out in the first 10 seconds is what it is.
Yeah.
And you can't get too flashy because if you're on one foot throwing weird stuff, this dude will take your head off.
Yeah, and that's my concern is that Lazara goes to throw like some kind of kick or throws a naked kick and just gets blasted in the face.
Yeah, and so
because he's not. He's not never fought in the UFC. So I mean, if you go thinking like you can, okay, we're gonna take the middle, we're gonna throw a naked leg kick and see how that works, and Alhassan steps in and just throws a hook and just blasts you like that could be over pretty quick.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you don't really see him go very long either. All his fights are typically 1 to 2 rounds. In a 5-rounder in Brave, he lost a decision. I don't think it's hard because it's like you want to be like, oh yeah, he's the next big thing. Yeah. But he looks awesome in the little bit of video there is. He looks awesome, but he's fighting total cans.
And that's our thing that we have to work with, the 2-year layoff versus the can crusher. So
and Abdul fought Homasi twice and knocked him out both times. Homasi is bigger than him and throws with nothing but bad intentions. Mm-hmm. He took him out in 2, and he was grappling a little bit. Yeah. Nico Price, you hate him or love him, but he popped Nico Price in the first round. Nico Price was like trying to like feint and like get something going, and he was like, nope, and he just started going. He just started throwing shots until he dropped them. Mm-hmm. That could totally happen.
Yep. So I think a reasonable 3-1 favorite. I think again, this is another fight you probably want in DraftKings. You want one side of it. I think Alhassan's probably a good play for that first round KO, but he'll be pretty popular. So Lazzez really underowned, and I mean, could be interesting. So
yeah, you're totally right because Alhassan, if anyone like looks at it, they go, "Wow, this guy just knocks people out like crazy." But Lazzez could win, at least from what data I have. It looks like he could totally win. So if he's smart too, if he takes him down right away, which it looks like he does, so it could be great. I think that fight, if you want to put 2 entries in, if you can split it right there, like that's a good place to split it. Take your core 3 and then rotate on these guys for number 4.
Also, there will be a bonus in that fight. I think either someone's going to have some crazy KO or it's just going to be some kind of crazy war. Like Lazzez can like take a punch and it'll be pretty cool to watch. Okay. Chimaev or Phillips, we got to move fast through these.
No, the rest of them will go faster on their own, I think, because we're these big ones. There's a lot to talk about. A lot more footage too.
I mean, Phillips and Chimaev isn't really too much to talk about. Obviously, Chimaev has never fought in the UFC, but he's like high caliber wrestler, grappler type. And Phillips is not a grappler. He can't grapple. He can't do any anti-grappling. He can't stand the feet. If Chimaev gets the fight to the ground, he's probably going to finish it. He only needs to take it there one time, and that's the fight. Now, if it stays in the feet, Phillips can knock him out. So that's basically John Phillips in a nutshell every time he fights.
So the Khamzat Chimaev, I think he's Swedish because I was reading something about Latifi. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
Europeans on this one. So he's like a highly touted prospect from that part of the world, and he does all his best work on the ground. He's basically trying to get guys down nonstop.
Hmm.
Phillips, when he fought Charles Byrd, who's no longer in the UFC, chin issues, he subbed him. He fought Kevin Holland, he subbed him. Marshman was just a horrible fight, and then Amidovsky, I think, is also out of the UFC, and he got finally the knockout from Phillips. Phillips is 1-4 in the UFC. He can't get off his back very well. I think if this guy has any kind of chops about him, and it looks like he physically has like a beard, he should be able to take Phillips down, beat him down, choke him, finish the fight early. I think Chimaev really should be like one of the biggest favorites in the card.
Yeah, I think Chimaev's a really good play on DraftKings, and just in all formats.
Yeah, I think he's 8,900, Phillips is 73. So, I mean, if you want to bet on Chimaev, you could. We'd have to check like the math on that, but uh, I think he's like almost a lock. There's like a 1% chance that Phillips is just like bing and like gets him coming in, but outside of that, it's like he's going back to Britain or I think it's Welsh, right? Going back to Wales, having a cocktail and retiring.
Yep. Ricardo Ramos versus Lerone Murphy is actually one of
Lerone?
another great fight actually on this card. I am a Murphy guy. I think he fought Zubaira to a draw in a really good fight. I think Murphy is super underrated. I think he's got good get-ups. I think striking's better than Ramos. I think Ramos is going to feel some power and not like it at all in this fight. So I'm really liking Murphy as a dog and in DraftKings.
Yeah, so when Lerone, when he fought against what was the guy's name? Sugo is the
Zubaira.
When he fought Zubaira is weird because he was like basically just like on him on the cage, but threw no strikes for like minutes at a time, and that's why it was a draw because Murphy was like throwing with intent. He had like nice boxing going. He was stepping into the pocket, dodging, landing on Zubaira, and then backing out. And not even really backing out. Zubaira was running away from him like nonstop, and he was exhausted and he didn't want to get hit anymore. So that was good. His get-ups are not the best, but he did get up every single time eventually.
Yeah, and I mean Zubaira is a pretty good wrestler. I mean,
he's a power wrestler.
I mean, Zubaira is probably a top 15 guy in the weight class.
Yeah, and what I liked, what I saw, I liked. I thought that he probably maybe won the fight really because if you look at kind of like the running away from your opponent, like literally, there is such a thing in the octagon. It's like cowardice and like refusing to fight, and like there was some of that going on. He was literally just laying there where they had to stand him up repeatedly. So I thought he did very well. Now against Ramos, I think it's kind of an interesting dilemma because it's another one of these situations where you have a guy who can get you down and can sub you. Is it going to happen? That's the $1 million question. Because if Ramos can take him down, he does win fights by submission. He just won his last one by submission. He typically has anywhere from 1 to 3 takedowns in a fight. He's going to win those rounds when he gets a takedown because unlike Zubaira, he's not going to just lay there. He's going to actively choke, like look for the neck and strike. I think that's bad for Murphy. I don't know. Maybe they threw Murphy in there originally against Zubaira to be like, here, deal with this guy. We'll see what you're made of. And he somehow like stumbles out in a draw, and it looked okay. I think this is actually a more dangerous matchup for getting finished.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just look at it like, Murphy, like, Ricardo fought Journey Dewson, right? And he couldn't really finish Journey. And
Journey also wasn't he like a little better than everyone thought originally?
Well, my whole point is
anyway,
like
go ahead.
Murphy's like a much better version. He's like way more athletic. Yeah, I just think that Ramos is going to have trouble to like physically control Murphy.
I think not once they're down though, because I didn't see anything explosive from Murphy to get up.
Yeah, and I don't think Ramos is a good enough wrestler to get him down. It's kind of my point. So that's why I like him.
Other thing about Murphy, I thought the same thing because I like the aggressive striking, the boxing, but he only landed 28 significant strikes against Tukov Zubaira over 3 rounds.
Yeah, he was getting held up a lot, but yeah, I mean, if you think Ricardo can get it to the ground and sub him, like that's a fair pick on him. I'm just saying, be careful of that because Murphy is better than I think people are going to give him credit for.
Yeah, it's his striking's better, and you didn't get to see a lot of it because of the type of fight he was in. But I still think that when he's physically down all the way, that there's going to be opportunities for Ramos to exploit. Whereas I think also Ramos, he doesn't score that well. Like his best fight was his last one where he got a submission in the first round, and normally he scores like 60 to 70 points.
So are we getting a dog or pass situation, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, do you think Ramos is going to be optimal? Probably not. Probably not. So again, it's like, here's another like potential dog that you can play. If you want to bet on Ricardo, I think it's okay. I think Draftkings, it doesn't make a lot of sense because he's not likely to score very high. Murphy's more likely to surprise and like really pounce on him and unload like a 6-piece combo and hurt him and drop him. But again, it's like Lazzez, Murphy, Benoit. Those are probably the 3 most likely dogs right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the next fight, I think we have another dog, Michailidis, against Bukauskas. Michailidis is the stronger, more powerful guy. Bukauskas is a champion of Cage Warriors. He's going to try to kind of pop shot, and he has seemingly better cardio, but it's only a 3-round fight, and I think Michailidis could actually potentially, hurt him. I mean, Michailidis is a pretty strong dude.
So here's the thing. Modestas is normally fights at 205, light heavyweight in Cage Warriors. And Michailidis is he fights for like a Greek organization, or maybe he's Greek, I don't remember. But it's like a way like down the rung regional circuit. Also, so he's moving up from 185 to 205, and he's on short notice. So I think he's got a couple of things going against him. Like basically, they probably said like, "There's no way I can cut this weight, and we've got a guy heavier than you anyway. So come on in and get lit up
and see what you can do."
He's also can crushing. All of the stoppages he has are like, if I punched you like in the head 3 times and someone just stepped in, it was like, that's enough, guys.
Michailidis now.
Yeah. Michailidis. It's all can crushing. Like you see guys literally and I think it was his last fight. They stopped the fight, and the guy who was like getting hit because they went down like up against the cage. The guy's just like this. He's like, why is it over? I mean, it's one of these. So that's not the kind of power you want to see. He looks aggressive. He throws one shot at a time. When I watched it first, I was like, oh, good, he's aggressive. And then I was like, something's not right here. Like he's a little old. He's like a little low volume, and also TKOs aren't real. So. Modestas, I think, has actually stopped human beings, and he's younger, a lot younger, and he's from Cage Warriors. I think it probably makes more sense.
Fair enough.
If you love Michailidis, congratulations. But I think he's going back to Greece to go eat dead fish or whatever he does over there. It's like, I don't think it's going to go real well.
Yeah, I don't think. I think this is a fight you can potentially fade because Bukauskas, if he doesn't get a finish early, I mean, 9,000 is a big price tag to pay off. So,
yeah, I'm not real hot on it because his volume's not incredible either. His power's not incredible. He can get taken down too, and he'll like work his way up. It's just not a great fight all around, at least on paper.
So we'll go to the next one. I'm probably again. Final point, pretty much agree with Glenn there. Michailidis seems a little bit more powerful, but the move up in weight is concerning.
It's 20 pounds.
Yeah, and Bukauskas is just not like a one-punch type knockout guy. So
although
I think you're safe. I think
Michailidis is way smaller. Think about that.
No, but Michailidis is a big dude, though.
But if Bukauskas or whatever his name is, he might look gigantic.
I'm gonna look at the pictures right now because there was a weigh-in today.
Because he's tall and he might look huge. If he's normally walking around at like 230, he might look really, really big.
It's hard to see with their masks on.
I saw a Bane mask today. It looked pretty good.
There
It's
you
like
go.
the Bane hard mask printed on there.
But what's the next fight?
All right. Well, while you're looking at men's figures, we have Jared Gordon and Chris, your boy Fishgold.
My boy, Fishgold.
What do you think?
Oh, listen, man. Gordon has, you watch tape of Gordon, and it's just concerning that this man is getting fights in the UFC. Fishy is not the most skilled guy in the world, but he's there to fight. Like I can see why Chris Fishgold is in the UFC. I can't see Jared Gordon in the UFC. I think Fishgold is going to aggressively pressure Gordon. I think Gordon is going to take shots. I don't think Gordon has a chin at all anymore. I mean, Gordon's like his wins in the past, couple of years is against Dan Ige and by decision. I mean, that's terrible.
He's just getting knocked out in the first round, though. That's the problem.
He's just bad. He's not UFC caliber, really.
I saw he fought Quinones in 17, and I was like, Quinones? I was like, I don't think they were in the same weight. I looked it up. There's a second Quinones. There's like a Michelle Quinones, maybe a Quinones cousin somewhere.
Yeah, it's concerning a little bit. Yeah.
It's like, you're like, oh, he knocked off Quinones. It's like, no, he didn't. So, yeah, I think the same. If you look at him, he's 1-for-4 in his last 4 fights in the UFC. 3 of those are by knockout / TKO. That's not good. I think he's just like, he's done. I think he's done. I think when people are blasting you in the first round, I think you're toast. Now, Fishgold probably won't get knocked out by him. He could get subbed by him because he apparently can't stop being subbed. But Fishgold's also fought like better guys in losses. So I would just say that spending 1 round in that octagon with Kattar back in 2018 was probably worth like 2 fights with 2 prelim guys. Like, then he beats the bad Tamer, which is like excellent. You should beat that guy. And then he loses to Americani, which I think no one really loves, but is not bad and continues to choke people out. So like you're fighting like super high. The same guy is going to be like, fighting for the belt soon, Kattar, and Americani are your losses. That's not horrible.
I mean, Fishy is one of those. He's one of those Liverpool guys, man. He's like Molly McCann, or Patty the Batty. Like these guys, they like get in your face. They're trying to finish. Like they're not there to win decisions at all. Like they're there to finish. Yeah. So I like that aggression. He puts himself in bad spots, but like, is Jared Gordon going to take advantage of that? Like, I don't think so at all.
I think Jared Gordon's got like a chin issue, and probably Fishgold will like slug it out with him a little bit and then take him down and just wail on him. It'll be a TKO.
Yeah. So let's get to the girls, Jojua and what's her face, Belvita.
The Belvita.
It's bad, man. I don't know. I was so unimpressed by Jojua. I guess I've got Belvita. She's the favorite, but God, this is terrible.
Yeah. So Jojua looks bad. She like backs away to counterpunch. So she like slowly backpedals and wants you to step in the pocket so she can hit you. It's really not good. Her cage game is not good. The strikes and also her loss is not good. Like, she lost to Sarah Morris.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. If this fight ends up in the optimal lineup, I'm going to be pissed.
Well, I think it could from Belvita.
I know. It's disgusting.
Here's why. Sarah Morris is not good in her own right. She beats Jojua. Jojua lands 19 significant strikes and 2 takedowns, which are like just cage turns and down. She scores 20 points in a loss. It's atrocious. And she's lost to like someone who's not very good in her own right. Now, Belvita is at least got like a better nickname. She's like the Warrior Princess. Nice. She has 1 fight, and it was against Molly McCann, who I say is good. She lands 98 strikes and a takedown on Molly McCann. scores 54 points in a loss to Molly McCann. And if you watch it, it's aggressive. And there was a time where she even like stunned McCann and had her up against the cage. She's aggressive. She's going in there to hurt people. She fought someone who's a little tougher, probably, and maybe a little more skilled in McCann.
Mm-hmm.
Belvita is going to whoop on this other chick, though. I mean, she's going to absolutely whoop on her. So, Can she finish her? Maybe.
Yeah, she could, and that's what's really concerning me, because I just, like, I don't want to have either of these people in my lineup, but
although
I think I'm gonna have
Belvita's cheap at 8,600, though.
I know. I'm gonna have some. I'm gonna have some.
If she was like 9,200, it's like, I don't know. There's better options in the 9,000 range, but 8,600, that's like almost the same price as McCann, isn't it?
Well,
McCann's
you can shove McCann, Fishgold, and Belvita all in there pretty easily, and kind of get whatever you want after that, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Because Gordon's actually favored above Fishgold, which I think is not right. There's like 2 or 3 of these where a guy's 1-4 and he's the favorite. Like Rivera's the other one. I take advantage of it. Like I would recommend betting on Stamann, and I would bet on Fishgold. I think those are great bets.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to
parlay.
Yeah, I like Fishy. I like Molly McCann in a parlay. Stamann in a parlay. I think Belvita in a parlay could be an addition.
I tell you truthfully, I watched the video on it though. I really, really think Belvita is going to hurt Jajua, and it's
bad. She's really, really bad.
That's the thing, and she's fighting someone even more aggressive. Sarah Morris is going to be a walk in the park compared to what's coming at her. This girl's there to hurt you. Like she had a competitive fight with Molly McCann. Competitive, like they were going back and forth for quite a bit. This girl is going to uncork on Jajua, if that's how you say her real name. I would bet American dollars on Belvita if the odds are good.
Ooh, so he is betting American dollars?
I'm going to do it right now. I'm betting on her.
Betting American dollars.
That's all I can tell you is I'm not going to say like that. You can look at the significant strikes or the takedowns, whatever. Belvita is super aggressive, had a competitive fight with a good fighter, and she is big and lanky, and I think she's really going to land a lot of strikes and hurt Jajua, and then the fight will be stopped early. If it's not stopped early, I think there's probably going to be a really well-scoring fight as well. So either like second-round stoppage with a takedown and some strikes, pretty good. Really, almost any kind of a win for her is going to be good at 8,600.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay. I think we're at our last fight, finally.
There's one man left.
Yeah, and it's Jack Shore. He's minus 700. I think he, Phillips is bad, but a little bit of a Muay Thai guy. Shore, kind of a prospect here, should dominate, but I think you can avoid him in DraftKings because 9,400 is pretty steep. And is he going to outscore Chimaev, right?
I don't know if you can get him in there together, if you can jam him in. I like Shore a lot for like safety, because I think he's going to score really well between takedowns, advancing position, and just strikes landed. This guy, Aaron Phillips, fought in the UFC back in 2014 and then had like a hiatus, and now he's back. I think it's also short notice, and he fought. They said he was fighting outside of the UFC, and he did okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's meant to be served.
Right, they're feeding him to Jack Shore because Jack Shore is like Cage Warriors pedigree.
He's a prospect.
And also, if your guy drops out, they feed you a guy, just so the fight goes on and you get a win. It's not totally unreasonable, I guess, but I think this Aaron Phillips guy is probably going to get smashed. I mean, I haven't seen him fight recently. I saw one of these. I think he's just fighting in a lower organization. I don't think it's going to go well. He also I also saw this too. It's an interesting commentary. He fought Chris Gutierrez in 2015. He got TKO'd by him in the 3rd round and refused to come out of the corner. So it was like he didn't get TKO'd. He refused to come back out to fight. So how bad does he want it? And then right after that, he goes to this. It was Chris Gutierrez in the WFC. He's in this WFC, and it's all like first round wins, which typically that's like poor competition if it's happening over and over and over again. So I think, it's an outside chance. I think it's really unlikely, though. I think Shore's pretty good. I think I had him underrated in his debut, and I think he was actually better than I thought it would be.
Yep, and I think obviously he's a good play. He's good. You can't bet. I don't recommend betting minus 750. I think that's pretty high. But you can play him in DraftKings if you can jam him in. Me personally, I'm a Kattar guy. I think Kattar by finish, and Chimaev outscores Jack Shore. That's my hot take.
Very good. So this is a weird week because this is the double UFC weekend or week. I don't know, whatever it is. But so this is our quick abbreviated, but not so abbreviated Tuesday night run, and then we should have another one for Saturday on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah,
sometime
later this week.
So
we'll do our research.
We're doing UFC magazine reviews and just getting all the facts straight, and then we'll be back at you with another one. But leave any comments, questions. If you disagree, agree. If you want to bet Bulgarian dollars, let us know.
Like and subscribe. Actually, Croatian dollars. That's what I'm wearing today. So.
This week, we're in Croatia.
All right. We'll see you guys.
All right. Good luck, everyone.
Bye.